For that matter, make sure you check all your fluids: oil, water, steering, transmission, brake, and change and check all the light bulbs, and listen for unusual noises and sounds. These are probably the easiest and most important maintenance tips I can give you. Driving without water or oil can cost thousands of dollars in damage to your engine when it costs, what, $20 to $35 to change the oil in your vehicle, and you can get water for free at most service stations. Can you argue with that price? Now, with all the precautions you're going to be taking after you complete this class, your chances of being involved in a crash, assuming you follow our advice, will be drastically reduced. However, you should be prepared just in case. So let's take a closer look at some of the safety features in your vehicle. Right now, I'm thinking of one of the most overlooked features. Can you guess what it is? Did you think maybe seat belts or an airbag? What I had in mind was the headrest. Believe it or not, it's not just for comfort, but it's a very important safety device. If your headrest is not properly adjusted and you're involved in a crash, your head will actually snap all the way back. Now, I'm sure you heard about the term whiplash. The headrest should always be adjusted so that it fits right along the center of the back of your head, like this. Let's talk about airbags. Some of the most well-known safety features in your car include airbags. The invisible but almost always present safety feature in most newer cars is that airbag. Airbags are designed to soften the force of the impact of a crash. Many manufacturers have begun installing side and head airbags as well. How does the airbag work? Well, there's a little pin installed somewhere right in front of the driver under the hood, right about here. Now, if this section of the car is jarred by a collision, the pin sends a message to the airbag to activate. Now, if you've ever seen the airbag in action on TV or in the movies, you might think it stays inflated for a long while. That's not true. The bag blows up and then it deflates in less than the time it takes you to blink your eyes. It will only absorb the initial impact, and there's still a whole lot of danger of injuries from secondary collisions. Also, it is more effective during certain crashes than others. That is, it is more effective in a head-on collision than one may be from the angle. So the airbag alone is not adequate protection, and it will only do the job if it's combined with a properly worn and adjusted headrest and safety belt. Now, I'm sure you've heard that there are actually some dangers associated with airbags. Let's put a few things in perspective here. The airbag is a very important safety feature in your car, but like anything else, it could have an adverse effect if it's not properly used. Because of the force of the air that inflates the bag, it could actually cause injuries or death to small children and even to adults. With that in mind, here are some basic precautions you should follow with airbags. Position your seat as far away from the airbag as you possibly can. Don't sit any closer than 10 inches from the steering wheel. Place children and special child seats in the back seats. And if you actually must place a child in the front seat, move that seat as far back as it'll go. And if you don't think you can follow these guidelines, you might have one other option. Some newer cars allow you to install a kill switch to disconnect your passenger side airbag. If your car doesn't have that feature, you can take it to the dealership or authorized mechanic. However, keep in mind that you must get permission from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration before you install a kill switch or deactivate the airbag. Now, let's look at your legal responsibility when it comes to using restraining devices such as seat belts and child seats. As you probably know, it is the law that all front seat passengers wear a seatbelt, and persons in the car under the age of 18 must wear a seatbelt or else be in a special child restraint device, regardless of where they sit. Front passengers who are 18 years of age or older and do not wear a seatbelt are in violation of the law. Are you aware that traffic crashes are the #1 killer of young children in this country? This is a very serious issue. Here's our current list of recommended restraints. Newborns to 9 months old or 20 pounds, an infant carrier. 9 months to 4 years or 20 to 50 pounds, a children's car seat. 4 years and up or over 40 pounds, a booster seat and seat belt. 55 inches, that's 4 feet 7 inches or taller, a lap and a shoulder belt. For validation question number 32, please mark down a B. B as in boy. Let's look at the different restraints more carefully. From birth to 20 pounds, you should use a rear-facing infant carrier secured in the back seat. Newborn infants should be reclined at 45 degrees to keep their head from dropping forward, but no lower, or there's a risk that the baby could slide out. If the baby's head reaches the top of the carrier shell, they should be moved into a larger device. Make sure the base of the carrier is exactly horizontal. From 9 months to 4 or 5 years, you should place the child in an integrated children's car seat in the back seat of the car. If the children's car seat faces forward, the child should be seated upright. Fasten the harness snugly over the child's shoulders, but not so tight that their breathing is restricted. Now, as a guideline, you should be able to fit only one of your fingers beneath the harness at the child's chest. Check the length of the harness frequently and adjust it as the child grows. If the seat is equipped with a retainer clip, it should be positioned at the armpit height. Now, here's a few words about booster seats. After a child grows to about 40 pounds, they will be too large for a children's car seat. However, until they're about 80 pounds and around 55 inches tall, it is very dangerous to restrain the child using an adult seat belt. As a general rule, if they cannot sit with their back straight against the back seat cushion, with their knees bent over the edge of the seat without slouching, they need to be placed in a booster seat. After seating them in a booster, you can then position the seat belt so that the lap belt crosses the hips, not the stomach, and the shoulder belt goes across the chest, not the neck. Until they grow large enough to use an adult belt, the safest thing you can do for the child is place them in a booster. All infant carriers and child car seats must be crash tested and approved by the U.S. government. And please, make sure that you buy them from a reputable source. Diapers might be a different matter, but this is one item you don't want to cut corners on. To better understand the reasons for all these laws and regulations, let's go back to class.